the main part. So before we talk about retirement, in our last session, I talked about the big five. We also mentioned about the big five budget items. These are the items that you have to plan for. These are the items that in your life, they take a lot of your income. We talked about holiday planning. We talked about tertiary education. We talked about home ownership. We talked about retirement. So what is a financial goal? A financial goal is it's something that has a desired result or a destination. For a financial goal to be able to be effective, it has to have 4 characteristics. The first characteristic is identity. A financial goal has to have an identity. The second thing about a financial goal that it has to be clear. Your goal has to be clear. It has to be clear on what you really want to achieve, what you really need, what is your desired input, what is your desired result. The third thing is the time frame. What duration of time do you need to have so that you can be able to achieve that desired result or that desired destination? And then you also need to ask yourself, how much money is it going to cost you? You have to ask yourself, for this goal, for me to achieve this goal, what's my budget and how much is it going to cost me? And what do I have to do in terms of planning for me to be able to achieve that? So we have 3 types of financial goals. We have the first one, that is a short-term financial goal. A short-term financial goal, these are things that you can do within 1 year. So what are some of the things that you can do within 1 year? The first one is maybe buying furnitures or electronics in your house. Let's go to the second goal. It's a medium-term goal. A medium-term goals are things that you need between 1 and 5 years to be able to achieve. Watu wakaproti maguta. You want to buy a plot in Juja. Ruth, how long do you think you will need to buy that plot in Juja? Maybe 4 years, right?
5 years, yeah.
5 years or 4 years, right?
Yeah.
Good. If you want to travel overseas, we talked about holiday in our last session at the GNL summit. You want Easter is coming, and probably you want to go to you want to take a cruise and stay in the ocean for a month. Or you want to go to Zanzibar, right? This is not something you can do within 1 month. This is something probably you need to set up a savings account and do it on a monthly basis for, let's say, like 2 years, right?
Yes.
Good. You want to start a business. Unataka kufungua hardware pale bypass. Is it something that you just think about it and then go and open the next month?
No.
You probably need a SACCO facility. You probably need a bank loan, and this is something that, or some savings. So it's something that you need to plan for between 1 and 5 years, right?
Yes.
So that's the medium term. That's something that you need to plan for more than 1 to 5 years. Now let's go to the last financial goal, which is the long-term goal. Let me ask you something. How long do you think you need to plan for your child's college education?
How long do I need to?
To plan for your child's education. If you want to take your child to Strathmore.
I need from the time in landed in this world.
Exactly. We all know schools like Strathmore are not very cheap, right? When it comes to accommodation, let's say if you want to take your child to South Africa to study or the UK.
Yeah.
Unless you are a serious politician in Kenya, is it something that you can just wake up and do? It's something that really needs quite planning, right?
Sure.
So long-term goals are goals that will take you more than 5 years to accomplish. That includes tertiary education, paying off a mortgage or a home loan, a retirement, and that is our discussion for today, or even setting up an investment portfolio, right? When we retire, we want to be very liquid. We want to get rental income. And I know Kenyans are people who like collecting rent. We also want to have bonds, in government bonds, zenye zitakuwa zina mature. You also want to invest in serious companies, let's say like Kengen or Safaricom shares, right? So for you to have that crazy amount of investment portfolio, this is something that you need to start planning for early. And that is going to be our main discussion today. That is long-term planning. Let's go to the next topic. So we have smart financial goals. As the word smart, clearly illustrates, it illustrates different aspects. The word S in SMART illustrates that a goal has to be very specific. Specific means a goal has to be clear in terms of what you want to achieve. It has to have a time frame, a duration, a time frame. I want to buy that car within the next 1 year. I want to buy that plot of land within the next 6 months. I want to pay for my down payment for the tertiary education within the next 2 years. So it has to have a time frame of when you want to achieve that goal. Or the identity. The identity, that is the identity of the goal. What is the nature of the goal? What is the actual goal that you want to achieve? The next word in SMART is M, which stands for mutually agreed upon. Mutually agreed upon, that means that whenever you want to have a goal, for those people who are married here, you need to have a consensus, must be agreed upon between you and your wife. The next letter is A, attainable. Your goal has to be attainable. It has to be reasonable. Set goals that can be achieved within the resources that you have, right? The next letter is R. That is, your goal has to be recorded. It's very good. They say that a goal written down is half achieved. So it's very good for you to record your goals, write them down on when you want to achieve them. Have a goal. It's called a vision board, whereby you can be able to write, I want to own a car in the next 6 months. I want to be a landowner in the next 1 year. I want to take my children to this school in the next 2 years. So you need to write them down. And there's something we call public display of goals. And there are people who don't really like displaying their goals. And I like that. I am one person, when I want to achieve something, I will openly tell people. And the advantage of publicly displaying your goals is that people can be able to keep you accountable. People can be able to, keep you accountable and tell you, you told us that you're going to buy a car in the next 6 months, or you told us that you're going to take your children to this kind of institution. Where are you with that goal? So it always activates your minds. It always subconsciously makes sure that you are up to the goal. And the last letter is T on SMART. That is trade-off. That is priority. You need to prioritize your goals. There's what you want and there's what you can be able to afford. So it's very good to be able to have a priority of how you want to achieve your goals, and which one comes first, which one can be able to wait. But one caution I want to emphasize is that you should never give up a long-term goal for a short-term pleasure. So whenever for like retirement, never give up your savings for retirement for a holiday. Setting personal financial goals, these are the things that you need to do when you're setting up personal financial goals. The first one is you need to list all your financial goals, short-term, medium, and long-term. Keep an open mind. Keep an open mind. Things could change, priorities could change in between. The second thing is you need to summarize current financial status. That is, how much am I making? What are my income streams? How much money? What is my income? How much money am I making from probably my salaries and my other investments? How much can I be able to afford to invest? How much can I be able to afford to save? The third thing is prioritization and order of importance. You need to prioritize your goals. You need to prioritize what you want to achieve. The fourth thing is you need to identify strategies for meeting the goals. That is action plans. What are some of the strategies that you're going to use to meet the goals that you want to achieve? The fifth thing is you need to implement strategies, the plans that you want to implement. What is the implementation strategy? What action plans are you going to be able to do? The next point is you need to evaluate and monitor success strategies. You need to evaluate and monitor the success strategies. The points that you've been able to do, the processes that you've been able to do, you need to evaluate and ask yourself, after 1 month, how far am I for me to achieve this goal? After 3 months, where am I with that contingency fund? That money market fund yenye tulisema tunaweka 200,000. Tumefikisha wapi? How well are we going to be able to do it? And the last thing is you need to celebrate success and more to the next. Able to celebrate success once you achieve a milestone, once you get that home, once you get that car. Pia ukinunua gari sinika road trip utaenda na nyuki na mkule kanyama hapo.
Kabisa.
And that is how it is very important. Once you achieve a goal, it's very important for you to celebrate success and move to the next. Thank you very much, Terry, for your contribution.
Thank you.
Good. So I am coming to an end for my first presentation on personal goals. We started by describing what a financial goal is and the characteristics of a financial goal. We talked about 3 types of financial goals: short-term goals. Short-term goals are those ones that you only need between less than 1 year to be able to achieve. We talked about electronics, we talked about furniture, we talked about raising down payment, we talked about clearing debts, we talked about savings. The second thing we talked about is medium term. Medium term are goals that you need 5 years to be able to achieve. We talked about buying a car. We talked about buying a plot. We also talked about down payment for a mortgage or an overseas travel or starting a business. We talked about the third characteristics of financial goal is long-term. These are goals that will take you more than 5 years or eternity. And we talked about retirement, and that is forming our next form of discussion. And we also talked about setting up an investment portfolio. We described the word smart financial goals. So we described each letter. So we started with S. S means the goal has to be specific, clear, must have a time frame. We talked about M, which is mutually agreed upon. You need, for those who are married, you need to have a consensus and agree with your family on the type of goals that you want to achieve. We talked about the third letter, which is A. Your goal has to be attainable. You remember us giving the illustration of the guy earning 100,000 who wants to save 70,000, and we say that that goal is not realistic, it's not attainable. The next letter is R. The goal has to be recorded. A goal written down is half achieved, so it's very good for you to write your goals down. And then we talked about trade-offs. Trade-offs is you need to prioritize your goals depending on which one is more important. You remember CPA, our accountant Michael, akishindwa kama ni mtoto atanunulia baiskeli ama ni mama atanunulia curtains ama ni gari yake atafix. So that is all about the priorities of the goal. We talked about setting personal financial goals, and I've listed all the seven important steps for you to set a personal financial goals. So as I finish this discussion, there's something Kenyans have been talking of late, and I want to bring somebody into this discussion. Let me bring my senior Samuel to discuss something that has been happening. Kenyans, every Kenyan right now, there's a phrase that Kenyans are using, and that phrase is called inflation.
Inflation,
yes. Kila mtu anasema bei ya vitu zimepanda.
Yes, that's right.
Maybe in your own definition, what can you be able to describe inflation as?
Inflation is too much money buying very few goods. Too much money chasing very few goods. That's what this man called, is it? It's not Tadaro. There's a guy who has defined that inflation. Essentially, that's what it is. That's what you used to buy with 1,000 shillings, you require maybe 1,600. And we can give an example of, well, so it means that the amount of money you have today, what the money you used to buy to live on, maybe 1 year ago, you require maybe twice or maybe 2.5 times the same amount of money to do the same things you are doing last year. That's what I would call inflation. Too much money chasing very few goods.
Thank you very much for that. Now, I know you come from a different generation from mine.
Yes.
You come from quite an older generation. And I really admire your generation because your generation really did things very, very differently.
Yes.
The next big 5 budget item in life is an investment portfolio. As we discussed, you want to have shares in Safaricom. You want to have shares in KenGen. You want to have shares in East Africa Breweries. You also want to have a government bond that is giving you good payouts. And what you are adomanyoba, you want to collect rent every month. So that is an investment portfolio, and it needs a lot of planning and a lot of investment for you to be able to achieve that. The 5th budget, big 5 budget in life, is a retirement. We all agree that if you do not plan your retirement very well, you are going to be a bother to other people. Your children will be your retirement plan. Exactly. Now, the 4th common retirement expense,
yes,
is the housing cost.
Yeah.
The housing cost, because now you are at home. You are always at home now. That means now that you are always spending, you're always going to the supermarket. Vitu zinaisha haraka.
Haraka.
Unaambiwa baba Wamboi hakuna sukari. Unauliza mama Wamboi, si nilinunua sukari juzi. Because you're always at home.
You are always at home,
You're always
a high consumer. Yes.
High consumer. Then transport. Utapanda matatu kweli at that age?
At some point you have to.
At some point you have to, but is it very comfortable?
It is not comfortable for one.
So you find that you might be using taxis, or you probably have to buy a small car to ferry around.
Exactly, yeah.
Juu sababu hizi matatu za siku hizi wanaweka makelele mingi.
Makelele, speed nayo ndio hiyo.
Na saa zingine wanaweka nyimbo ambayo sio mzuri.
Exactly.
Na wewe ni mzee wa kuheshimiwa kwa society.
Yes.
The other common retirement expense is Medicare.
Yes, and that one is very expensive.
That is very expensive. Kumbuka,
ulikuwa na insurance while at work?
Very, very, very good. Ulikuwa na insurance. Sasa kuna insurance uko nayo?
Hakuna.
Lakini kuna kampuni zinapatiana insurance.
Ziko,
lakini wanakuambia juu hiyo miaka yako.
Yes.
Pay double the premium so that we can admit you.
Precisely.
Na ungoje 3 months. Kama uko na chronic disease, ngoja 3 months ndio tuweze kukutibu.
Precisely.
So inamaanisha ukienda pale Kenyatta National Hospital, you're using your own money, right? So the cost of medicine goes up.
It has gone up.
Then there's community issues. Pale kuna shida ni wewe unaitwa uende uzibe moto ndio usort out issues. So community issues is also a common retirement expense.
Yes.
Also
and
gifts.
That one hits one because if while in employment you are not close to the community.
Yes.
It becomes a challenge for you to integrate within the community.
Integrate within the community. Exactly.
Yes.
Now there is also gifts.
Yes.
You're also required to attend a lot of events, functions, the church.
Yes.
Kanisa hapo wewe wanataka new instruments na uwezi enda hivyo, lazima utoe 1,000, si ndio?
Exactly.
Ule mtoto wa ule rafiki yako anaolewa na wewe umeitwa na uende hapo kama mgeni wa heshima, si utaenda na kakitu?
Lazima ubebe kitu.
Yeah, recreation, right?
Yes.
Most established people who retire actually, they end up spending most of their time in the golf clubs. We all know that being a member of a golf club in this country is not very.
It's not just an ordinary person.
Not an ordinary person.
Yes.
But we all want to retire and go to the golf club and spend the whole day there.
Yes.
As we also drink our own things. Najua wewe ni mtu wa kanisa, wewe unakunywa chai kadufa.
That's right. Yes.
So recreation has to be factored in.
Yes.
Na pia lazima unaenda Mombasa sasa. You have a lot of time. Lazima unaenda Mombasa na familia, unaenda Lamu, una relax. Also self-care. It's also good to take care of yourself at that age, right?
Yes.
At that age, you need servants and aides to assist you.
Yes.
Wacha nikuulize Mr. Bernard, kama hauna pesa,
then you don't become useful to yourself and even to the community.
Na how servants wako watakaa na mtu hawalipi?
Itakuwa ngumu sana.
What will they end up doing? So they'll end up mistreating you.
You get mistreated, you end up suffering actually.
And they leave you.
Yes.
Na kabla wakuache wanaacha wameiba tu vitu kidogo kidogo juu wewe ni mzee na hauna pesa.
Na hata hujielewi.
Na hujielewi. Wanashinda huyu jamaa alikuwa civil servant, haizi tulipa mshahara namna gani?
Yes.
So it's very good to also have money to be able to pay for servants and aides, right?
Exactly, yeah.
Na pets, I'm a person who loves dogs.
Yes.
Na napenda pia kuweka ng'ombe za gredi. Pia najua kwetu ni Ukambani lakini pia tunakuanga na ng'ombe za gredi kidogo kidogo. So these are things that you have a lot of free time. You will need to have pets around, that is cats, dogs, and also vitu kama ng'ombe za gredi.
Yeah.
And we know that they are not cheap to maintain.
They are not cheap, in fact. Hata kama ni ile moja tu, it is expensive.
Exactly. So those are the common retirement expenses. The first one is food. The second one is clothing. The third one is utility bills. The fourth one is housing costs. The fifth one is transport. The sixth one is Medicare. The seventh one is community issues. The eighth one is gifts. The ninth one is recreation. The 10th one is self-care.
Yeah.
And then the servants and aides, and the last one is pets. Now, I want us to do something. I want us to look at the cost in retirement.
Yes.
How much does an ordinary Nairobi person need to survive in this country?
Sorry?
How much does an ordinary Nairobi person anakula lunch, anafanya kazi town, how much does he need to survive on a daily basis in Nairobi?
Not less than 5K.
No, on a daily basis.
That's what I'm saying.
On a daily basis, I'm saying for you to, for your transport to and from work, and for your lunch.
Yes.
Na upigiwe kiatu rangi, how much do you need to use on a daily basis?
Give yourself 2K.
I want us to put it at 500 shillings.
500 is very low.
It is very low, but I want us to tuongee lugha ya hustler. Tusiende sana.
Okay.
Unaishi Kayole, let's say unaishi Kayole ama unaishi Githurai.
Yeah, you know, to and from is 200.
To and from is 200 shillings. Lunch unakula lunch ya 150.
Yes.
Pigiwa kiatu rangi ya 50 bob. So on a daily basis, you use 500 shillings on a daily basis, right?
So then we can work with that. That's okay.
We have 365 days in a year.
Yes.
So how much do you need to use in 1 year?
That's 150 something,
182,500 shillings.
Yes.
You've been working for 30 years. So let's multiply 182,500 multiplied by 30 years. How much you'll have used in terms of daily expenses in Nairobi alone?
In how many years?
In 30 years. If you started working at 30, I'm assuming you started working at 30.
That will be about 20 what?
That will be 5.5 million.
5.5,
Can you imagine in the last 30 years you've used 5.5 million in upkeep?
Just me alone.
Just you alone. Hatujaweka bibi hapo.
Yes.
Now let's ask ourselves how much you need to be using when you are retiring at 60 years. And we've all agreed that during retirement, the cost does not come down, the cost goes up.
It continues to go up, yes.
So if you're using 500 shillings today, that means you'll be using 2,000 shillings in retirement, right?
Yes.
So the cost has gone up.
Yes.
We also talked about inflation.
Yes.
So the 2,000 shillings of today is not the 2,000 shillings of the next 30 years.
It will not be the same.
So the 2,000 shillings of today is the 5,000 of the next 10 years.
Yes.
Right? So the cost goes up.
Yes.
Do you agree that we need to put money to start saving for retirement?
In fact, those who are in employment today,
yes,
or somebody and getting engaged in employment today,
yes,
should start doing it now.
Exactly.
Yes.
So that they can be able to live a comfortable life.
Exactly, yeah.
Thank you very much, Bernard. Thank you for taking us through. Thank you so much for your participation.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you for listening.
Okay, thank you very much. So I want to talk about register schemes. There are different types of investment or different ways of you to being able to plan for your investments. We talked about investment portfolios. I want to major on retirement, and we have umbrella schemes. These are whereby small organizations team up to form one scheme. So you can form up a small organizations like the GNL. Let's say we have the GNL. We have Kevin Joroge, who has a place where he sells cars. We have Edith, who has also a small company. You can team up under an umbrella scheme or a small organization and form one scheme whereby you can be able to start making contributions towards retirement. Also, you can do what we call investment expertise, whereby you put your investment expertise in one pool. This is whereby companies, most insurance companies, you can be able to open an IPP, that is an insurance pension plan with an insurance company, and they have financial experts whereby they can be able to invest your money in real estate. They can be able to also invest your money in government bonds, in treasury bills, and in offshore accounts. Once when they get their interest, they can be able to declare an interest and your money can be able to grow. So that is also an investment in expertise whereby your money can be going in a pool with different policy holders or different pension contributors, and you can be getting an interest. Then also one advantages of being in these schemes is that you can be able to reduce in terms of personal taxes. You are allowed an exemption of 20,000 shillings of your contribution. Personal contribution towards a pension plan is not subjected towards taxation. So it's very good to take advantage of these IPPs with different insurance companies and being able to save for your tax, your retirement plan. And also advantages of getting into IPPs is that your pension is able to grow tax-free. Your fund is able to grow tax-free, and the return on investment on most pension plans of insurance companies is quite on a high note. For those of us who are complaining about NSSF, I think we've been told that the 2,000 shillings mandatory contribution to NSSF has been effected. Actually, I would encourage you to do something we call AVC. AVC is an additional voluntary contribution, whereby you can be able to additionally, from your payslip, since we've all agreed that pension is retirement is a very expensive affair. If let's say you're earning 100,000 shillings and all you're contributing to NSSF is 2,000 shillings, you can talk with your employer and tell them that you'd want to contribute more of your salary towards that pension plan, so that once you're retiring, you can be able to have a substantial amount of money. And then we also have senior citizen tax holiday, but that was scrapped off. The thing with our country, we have a cash flow issue with our country. So we are always reviewing our taxes. Before, a person who was over 65 years, if you had a pension and you were over 65 years and you wanted to access that pension, you would not be taxed by the government. But that law was since revoked. And the biggest disadvantage we are going to learn about pension scheme is that the taxation is quite high. You are taxed around 30%. There's only an exemption of the first 600,000. The rest is taxed on a scale of 30%, which is quite high. I have done pension withdrawals, and there's quite a hefty amount in terms of taxation. And also the funds in pension plan. I don't know if you know this. If you have a pension plan, you can be able to access 40% of your pension plan as a down payment to own a home, or you can be able to access that to be able to own a mortgage or to be able to access mortgage. So if you have 5 million, you can be able to access 2 million shillings to pay for a down payment for a mortgage. So that's also one of the advantages of being in a registered, a different registered scheme. I also want to talk about retirement financial framework. So these are the steps that you need to follow to have a retirement financial framework. The first one is you need to set a retirement goal. How much money, looking at your lifestyle now, how much money do you think that you need to have when you're retiring? There's one thing that we need to know, that cash is king. The ability to be liquid, the ability to be able to afford money, the ability to have money in the account is quite a big advantage. So you need to sit down and ask yourself, when I'm turning 60, when I'm turning 55 years old, how much money do I want to be having in my bank account? Can I be able to afford the personal holidays that we've talked about? Can I be able to afford the good food? Can I be able to afford the golf clubs? How much money is it? How much do I need to start saving now for me to be able at 60 years old to be able to access that good lifestyle? The good thing is you need to also have a regular, dependable, passive income. You do not have to depend on the registered schemes for your lifestyle. There are different forms of investment, such as we've talked about real estate, we've talked about government bonds, we've talked about shares. I talked about this in our last summit, about these different forms of investment. So you can diversify your investment such that if you have a pension plan with company X, let me use ICA Lion Group, because that is what I work for. If you have a pension plan with ICA Lion Group that gives you an annuity is whereby once you have retired, you're a civil servant and you've retired, and the government has given you 5 million shillings as your retirement package. You come to ICA Lion Group or any insurance company of your choice and tell them, I have given you that 5 million, calculate for me the benefit of whereby you'll be paying me a salary till death. Let me repeat that point. You've reached the age of 60. You are working with an NGO. Wanakuambia umefanya kazi mzuri, umetufanyia kazi mzuri, you are a finance manager, shika hii 10 million, this is your retirement package as you go home. Now you can take that 10 million and bring it to ICA Lion Group. Now what ICA Lion Group does is that they are going to do a calculation for you, and they will tell you, Mr. Daniel Kimemia, for this 10 million you've brought to ICA Lion Group, we are going to be paying you a salary of 100,000. Kila tarehe tano, tutakuwa tunakulipa mshahara ya 100,000 till death. So here's the catch. If you happen to live longer, if you happen to live till you are 120 years old, then ICA is not in business, because ICA has to be paying you a salary every month till death do you part. Now, if you take that money to ICA Lion Group and you give them the 10 million, and they say that they'll be paying you 100,000 for the next, till death happens, and something happens to you in the next 2 months, and death happens, that is the end of the contract between you and ICA. Your dependents cannot come and start claiming that there was an annuity, and they start claiming that the 100,000 needs to be paid to you. So that is one thing about the annuity. It's a very good way of looking at it. I always advise clients to diversify. You can put some money in annuities. Some can be put in real estate. Some can be put in government bonds, so that you can be able to mitigate the risk. And then you need to have structured investment to provide the income. Also, you need to look at having capital to create the investments. That is different business opportunities that you may want to engage yourself when you are retiring. You need to have a savings plan to raise the capital. And that is where insurance policies come in. It's very good to have these 10-year plans, these endowment policies that insurance, most financial advisors sell to you. They are very, very important, because they help you raise capital. They will help you raise capital for you to be able to have that annuity. They will also help you raise capital for you to be able to start that business. So it's very good to also look into diversifying into this insurance plan. And then commitment, sacrifice, and time for the savings plan. It's good to have commitment, savings, and time for the savings plan. Now, I'm nearing the end of my presentation. So I want us to discuss a topic here on undependable sources of retirement funds. Grace Wasike, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Habari ya Grace, habari ya leo?
Niko mzima, habari ya Bosco?
Niko salama?
Yes.
We are good, and God is good.
Yes.
Mimi nataka tu discuss kidogo hapa.
Yes.
Uniambie kama hii kitu iko sawa ama iko sawa. Kama iko sawa ni sawa. Kama iko sawa, uniambie venye tutafanya.
Okay.
I want us to discuss undependable sources of retirement funds. Na hii economy yetu venye economy ni ngumu. Do you think the society, you can depend on the society? Do you think you can depend on borrowing for you to survive after retirement?
Yeah, I don't think so.
What happens nowadays when you call somebody and you tell them that you need 3,000 shillings urgently? Si wanakataa kuchukua simu yako? Wanakataa kuchukua simu yako?
I normally don't think about borrowing from anyone.
But I'm just saying, if what happens if, let's say, if you call somebody and tell them that you need 5,000 shillings, you have an emergency.
Yeah, they rarely give you.
They will exactly, because people have their own problems, right? Can you agree with me that society is not a source of retirement funds?
Fully, I do agree with you.
You cannot depend on the society, sindio? Now, your children, do you think you can depend on your children to be a source of your livelihood when you retire?
No.
Sasa mtoto wako ni pesa atakutumia ununue ulipe bills ama ni yeye atajijenga? Which of the two is they going to do?
Of course, they'll want to look at their own lives.
Their own lives, right? And actually, you as a parent, you need to be adding them more money. That is what a good parent does.
Oh.
It is written in the Bible that a wise parent leaves an inheritance for their children for generation to generation, right? So it is the responsibility of you as a parent to make sure that your children are very well. Do you know, Grace?
Yes.
You know that in some cultures, actually, it is the responsibility of your father to pay for your dowry.
Yes.
Do you know that?
To pay for my dowry?
No,
for
the man, if it's me who is marrying, like let's say like Bosco wants to get married. Do you know in some cultures it is the responsibilities of my father to go and negotiate and pay everything? I should not get into my pocket.
Yeah, it's in my culture actually.
Good. Which culture of yours is it?
Bukusu.
Good. I would like to be a Bukusu. Hii mambo ya kujilipia dawari, mimi nafikiria baba mzee anafaa kunifanyia hii mambo. But that's a discussion for another day. So we all agree that children are not a source of retirement for us, right?
Yes.
The third undependable source of retirement is government. Do you think this Kenyan government is a source of you can depend on this government for retirement?
Okay, as a civil servant, yes.
As a civil servant, they can do. But there's this story that has been running on Citizen on what the money of Wazes that was introduced by Mwai Kibaki, where they are supposed to get 2,000 shillings. Sasa Grace, 2,000 shillings itakufanyia nini kweli? Imagine you're depending on 2,000 shillings to make you run for the whole month.
It's not manageable.
It's not really manageable. So let's agree we cannot depend on the government for retirement.
Yeah, to some
Hata kama civil servant, they only give you a little bit of pension money. That money is not sufficient. It can only clear a little bit of your bills.
Yeah.
Haya, kuna mtu mwingine anaitwa NSSF. Na watu wengi, Wakenya wengi for a long time they have been contributing 200 shillings. Sasa umefanya kazi, umekuwa ukitoa 200 at the age of 60. Unaenda pale NSSF building, unapatiwa check ya 50,000 shillings. Unaambiwa ni retirement package. Nauliza, je, huu ni ungwana? If 50,000 in Nairobi, what can you be able to do with 50,000 in this life of today? So there is somewhere I'm agreeing with our president. We had to increase our savings. We as a country, as the Kenyan country, we have a poor savings culture. That one I agree with the president.
I also agree.
Exactly. Do you think the 2,000 shillings, ukipatiwa 1 million in terms of retirement, you can be able to do a few things, right? It's better than the 50,000 that most people are getting. So we can also say NSSF, as it stands now, or as it was an undependable source of retirement, right? Good. Thank you so much for participating.
Okay, thank you, Bosco.
Okay, sawa. So, Tim, I'm coming to the last part of my presentation today, and then we go to the Q&A. I have been taught to manage time, and I really want us to finish at exactly 9:30 so that we have 30 minutes of Q&A, and I can be able to answer your questions and discussions. I know most of you have questions that they would want to ask. So I want to bring in somebody so that tumalize na yeye. Nataka kuleta Pastor Chege, director of he's one of our senior directors in government. I don't know if I can ask you to unmute, and probably we can have a discussion. Pastor Chege, can you hear me? If Pastor Chege is unavailable, then we can talk to Daniel, my chairman, Finance Committee, GNL. Can we have a discussion I would want to give you the privilege of finishing this meeting with the respect that you have and you carry with GNL. Are you in a position to? Mr. Daniel Kememia.
Yes, Bosco.
Habari ya leo?
Mzuri sana ndugu yangu.
How are you, chairman? How is the petroleum? Are we likely to get less fuel?
We are still in some crisis because we don't have the dollars.
Kwa hivyo bei ya mafuta ishuki chini?
Bei ya mafuta bado hata bei mafuta sijui kama itapatikana, lakini serikali inajaribu kuhusika.
Lakini Ruto alisema akiekelea Biblia chini hivi bei zinashuka, kwani shida iko wapi?
We are trying. They have made a proposal, but the guys have run to the court.
To block it.
Yeah.
We hope that the cost of fuel remains at least stable. Hata kama hawapunguzi, basiongeze.
No, the option they have taken is good because the price of fuel from the source will be public knowledge.
Okay.
Unlike the way it is now, in a black box.
Good. We really hope the cost of living really goes down.
Yeah, it can make a difference because they're even getting a credit of 6 months.
Okay.
Counter the shortage of the dollars.
Okay.
So it's a good idea. Let's hope that it works out.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. To our members and everybody in this live session, Mr. Daniel is the chairman of Finance Committee, and is also a big influential person in the petroleum space, and it's good for you to have that networking with him. So
Yep.
So me and Madam Grace have talked about the undependable sources of retirement funds. I want us to discuss the dependable investment avenues to fund retirement, things that we can be able to depend on. And I also want us to make a commitment that after this lengthy presentation, a presentation that has taken 1 hour 30 minutes, that all of us who are in this session are going to do something about our retirement, and we are going to make a commitment that our children. We are also going to make our commitment that we are going to retire in style. We are going to retire in peace. We are going to retire with a lot of liquidity. We are going to retire with an investment portfolio. That is the commitment I want us to get from this 1 hour 30 minutes presentation. We've talked about an annuity. An annuity is where you take money in cash to an insurance company and they will guarantee you a monthly income for balance of your life. Do you think that's a good idea, Mr. Daniel?
Yeah, it's a good idea.
For liquidity, right?
Yeah, it is subject to inflation rates.
Subject to inflation rate. That's very good. And I think with that point, most insurance companies are really giving a very good rate in terms of return. The pension return yield on return is quite high. So that one I can attest to it that the inflation rate is well taken care of.
Okay.
So we all agree that having a regular income whereby you can take some amount of money to an insurance company and they give you a regular income every month is quite a good idea on how to fund for retirement.
Sure.
Good. Now, the second dependable investment avenue to fund retirement is a registered retirement plan. Do you agree with me, Daniel, that it's good to be a member of a scheme of whereby you contribute a monthly contribution towards your retirement?
Yes.
It's very much important. Yeah.
That's a very powerful way of hedging yourself.
Do you agree with the president where he says our savings culture is quite off and that we need to put more money into savings?
100%.
I was in Kilimani today, Mr. Daniel. Do you know what is happening in Kilimani? I spent most of my days, better part of my day in Kilimani.
Yeah.
Every Nairobian wants to live in Kilimani. Do you know why? Because there are apartments coming in there. There are very nice apartments coming in there.
Yes.
I happened to visit one of the apartments that is very, very luxurious and they have very nice finishing. The apartments are being built by the Chinese and the Germans. Alafu your apartment pia iko na lift na ni safi sana, iko na very well maintenance na kule kwa rooftop iko na swimming pool. Now, Mr. Daniel, who doesn't want to live in a place where there's a swimming pool?
I mean, everybody would love to do that.
Na pale chini kuna gym. Na pale chini pia kuna ka supermarket of some sort, so you don't have to go and queue in I don't know where. Unanunua vitu zako unaingia kwa apartment unakaa, si ndio?
Yes.
But do you know something I noticed, Mr. Daniel? These apartments are not being built by Kenyans.
Pardon?
These apartments are not being built in Kenya by Kenyans. They're being built by the Chinese and the Germans.
Yeah.
Upon further analysis and upon further investigations, they are using their pension money to come and build apartments here, sell them to Kenyans, and then the returns, the profit they make, they return back home, and they declare very good dividends to their old people there. Do you know in China, it is mandatory? In China, in countries like Singapore, they save 30% of their GDP goes into savings.
Yeah, they have country structures of saving. Very good culture.
They have a very good culture of savings, right? And they happen to live, their standards of living are quite high.
Yeah.
So let's agree, for us to make wealth, it's not about borrowing loans, it's about saving more money.
That's a fact.
And one thing I've also done my investigation is there's no person who has made wealth by living a high life. They always make sure that they control their expenses.
Sure.
Do you think, Mr. Daniel, it's a good idea if we started controlling our expenses and putting more of our money into savings rather than into expenses and lifestyle expenses?
That is the best approach.
That is the best
approach. I know it's difficult at times.
Yes.
But it's a discipline that people have to learn. We have to learn that discipline.
Good. Also, real estate it's good for us to also have real estate investments, right?
Yeah.
Where you can be able to collect rental income at the end of the month. That can also act as one of the way you can fund your retirement, right?
Sure.
And I know my mother is a Kikuyu. I think there's one thing I admire about the Kikuyus is that they are very good in that. That one there is 100% Kaploti lazima kakue pahali, wherever it is.
Kaploti hiyo ni lazima.
Hiyo ni lazima, and I think it's a very good way of, I applaud that section of Kenyans for doing that, and that's I think it's something we can always emulate from them.
You know, the beauty of that one, it appreciates with time.
It always appreciates, always in time,
Yes.
right? As I finish my presentation, don't you think upon retirement, it's also good to have a business of some sort?
Yeah, it makes a difference, keeps you busy, and at least you can get something.
Exactly.
Gives you some hope.
At 60 years, you are a pretty strong man. If you did not take too much intoxication in your youth, that means at 60 years, you are pretty strong.
For your information, I'm over 60 now.
I know. And I know me even, do you see Mr. Bernard Mwangi? Mr. Bernard Mwangi looks like he's 40. He's very energetic and strong.
Yeah.
Don't you think he has the energy for the next 10 years to also start?
Of course, he
right?
can run up and down, yes.
He can run up and down, he can start his own consultancy and get income from it.
Exactly.
So we can always agree that after retirement, it's good for you to have a business in mind. Personally, for me in the insurance in the insurance space, I should start thinking of having a brokerage after 60.
Yeah.
Don't you think that's a good idea?
It's a good idea. You can put one foot there even before you get to 60.
Even before I get to 60.
Because these days we are not retiring, we are being refired. It's refinement into that thing that you've always dreamt about.
So you agree with me, nikirita, nikifika 60, siendi Kitui, nabaki Nairobi kufungua brokerage.
Yeah, you are refired into that insurance brokerage that you have started.
Because I have a lot of experience over the years, I can be able to manage a brokerage or an agency, right?
Exactly.
And we all agree with all members of this forum that they are all experts in their own fields. Some are IT experts, some are HR, some are into the business, that upon reaching retirement, they can refine the way you've put it. They can be able now to be the muggles in that industry, yes, and still be able to get an income.
They can definitely. They'll be fired in that area that they are experts in.
That's very, very, very good.
Hello.
Now, hello.
Bonjour.
Mr. Admin, I think you can take care of that. My co-host. As we finish, Mr. Daniel.
Yep.
There are passive investments. I know we talked about shares and bonds. And one thing about the bond is that the government is always looking for ways to be able to raise money. So government will always be borrowing money from Kenyans.
Sure.
And they have, I think, one of the best ways, one of the best investments right now in the market is government bonds.
Yes.
They can go as high as 14.2%. There's one that I did for my client that was 13.9%. And they pay something they call coupons. Coupons is they pay their interest twice a year.
Yeah.
So ukichukua bond, umepatiwa retirement pension plan umepatiwa retirement ya 10 million, ama umepatiwa retirement ya 5 million. Na ununue infrastructure bond ya 13 years. And if you buy it in January, that is 5 million, you'll be given 13% of 5 million as a coupon or as an interest after every 6 months.
Yeah, that's good, good income.
Don't you think that is some good income that can make you live a comfortable life?
Sure.
So it's also, we need also to start thinking about passive investments. That is shares, bonds, investing in companies such as Safaricom, in new companies such as Williamson, Kakuzi, and making sure that the income that we get, we are able to have shares and bonds in such avenues, right?
Sure.
So upon my conclusion, I think we all agree that there are undependable sources of retirement and there are dependable investment avenues to fund retirement. And according to our discussion, I think we should go with the dependable investment avenues to fund retirement.
Sure, dependable investments are the best, as long as you can diversify them evenly.
Yeah.
So that you don't put the risk in all your eggs in one basket.
Na vile nakuona Daniel, the way I see you in the GNL, wewe ni mtu ulikuwa umejipanga vizuri. Wewe ni mtu ulikuwa hizi vitu zote ulikuwa umefanya. And I can see you are living comfortably life after retirement, right?
Sure. I can't complain.
You can be able to afford a few things, right? So I want to give you the pleasure of giving, I want to give you a 2 minutes. What can you tell the young people to do so that they can have a comfortable life of retirement?
I think from the experience that I've had,
Yes.
It is very, very important that the young people learn not to consume everything of what they earn.
Good.
They should try as much as possible and put aside at least 30%.
30%
and it is manageable, because we are saying, if you are staying in a house where you are paying 10,000,
yes,
and your salary is 30,000,
yes,
you can adjust. Not all the expenses that we incur are needs. Out of our expenses, we have wants and needs.
Yes.
Let us forget about the wants and only follow the needs.
Exactly.
Needs are those mandatory things that you must do. And every other cent that you leave, that will be available for you, can put it somewhere. And if we do that, the first 2 months, third month, it becomes a habit. And you are able to put aside that amount. First of all, we have pension schemes, retirement benefit schemes in your employment. The other avenues, if you speak to people like Bosco, they'll help you and get a scheme that you can run for the next so many years. And at the end of the day, immediately you get used to that, it becomes like obvious, hiyo pesa si yako, ni ya huko. And by the time you work, assuming you are 25 years, by the time you get to 50 years, you have had a lot of money in those saving schemes. The experts can guide you on where to put that money. And even those long-term boards, those shares for the good companies, you can still keep on swapping between this area and that one, particularly when you have an investment advisor. They are able to guide you on where to invest. And at the end of the day, that money will be working for you. Inaendelea kuzaa. And by the time you get to retiring, you can now look for that long-term options out of what Bosco has shared with us. And then you can pick one that can help you have some cash flow. Even if you're not strong enough to continue working, at least you know there is some cash flow coming in through your life, because lack of cash flow is what shortens the lives of those that have retired. When you cannot make ends meet and you used to work in a big job somewhere, and now you cannot raise even some money for yourself, that accelerates the rate of death. So you can live longer when you have that kind of security. So there are many avenues that you can use. Bosco has mentioned quite a number. There are schemes for young people and schemes for old people, so that even as you continue working, the money that you put aside can continue making something for you. And by the time you get to that retirement age, you have a reasonable amount, which now you can plan on where to put it using those advisors, because the advisors are good in that they are experts in their area. And in this area of investments, it is always good to go with the experts. Sometimes you cannot go gambling with your money, which you have earned for so many years. I've seen people do that, get their 10 million and they go buying matatus and some other kind of business, and within less than a year or within 2 years, they have no vehicles and they have no money. It is important to make sure that you invest in stable investments where you know that your money will not just sink like that. Even as you go to the kind of investors, you got also to be careful. Who are you investing with? Because there are people who have come and sometimes they are not able to do what is expected. So discipline is important. And with experts like Bosco and the guys in that industry, they will guide you and help you as a young man to walk your journey through investing. And this is something you'll never regret by the time you get old, because you know, in our language, in our mother tongue, we say that uzee unakulaga ujana. Yeah, when you are young, you invest so that as an old man, you'll be able to eat from what you made when you were young. And you cannot do that by consuming everything that you earn. it is important to have that discipline because it teaches you how to invest for the future. Sometimes we talk about investing for a rainy day because you never know that rainy day when it will come. But now when it is well structured with the experts, they'll guide you, they will help you. And even when the economic factors are a bit shaky, you can still go back to them and they'll be able to guide you on the best way to diversify your investments. I'm not an expert in this area. I'm just talking out of experience. And I really appreciate Bosco for that opportunity that you've given me. The young people, of course, even the old people, you still got an opportunity. There are many avenues you can place whatever lump sum that you get. Don't go spending it just like that. When you get this money, take time, think about it, consult before you decide nataka kupeleka hii pesa yote mahali fulani. Even as you buy a plot these days, you have to be very careful. Ukora umezidi. There are many companies that are advertising every other day. And finally, when they are supposed to deliver, they are not able to deliver and the money is gone. So you need to be careful where you invest that lump sum. So talk to the experts led by Bosco and they'll be able to guide us. Thank you very much, my brother. I do appreciate the honor. God bless you all.
One thing I've gotten from you is you said lack of savings and lack of cash flow is what accelerates death to people who retire at 60. The fact that they cannot be able to afford their lifestyles the same way that they used to do is what makes people not be able to live for long, because there's that discrepancy in terms of the lifestyle that they used to enjoy when they were working and the lifestyle that they're enjoying right now. Also something else that I've learned from my chairman is that when you get that money, even for the older guys, consult. This is something that I've been able to quite learn a lot. I'm into construction. That is the project that I am doing. And one thing that I've learned when I'm constructing my home is learn to consult, learn to share your ideas, tell people what you want, because people have a lot of information. And you'll find that what you thought you knew, there's a way much better way of doing things than what you thought you knew. So it's very good to consult. Tell people that there's this, what you're expecting, what do you think? Gather as much opinions as you can from other people, then make a decisive, conclusive, informative decision that is going to be very, very, very beneficial. Linda is my colleague at ICLIM Group. She's a lawyer by profession, so she's very informed. So Linda, probably I can give you 30 seconds and you could introduce yourself to the GNL family so that if anybody has any question, they could probably engage you directly. Linda, 30 seconds, please. You can introduce yourself.
Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Linda Yagon Toretich. I work with the ICLIM Group. And as Bosco has said, he's my colleague. Feel free to reach us in regards to any financial questions. And always remember to save before spending your money. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Linda, for being very precise. She's a very well-established lady, and she is very resourceful. You can always reach out to her if you would want some advice in terms of investment, savings, and pension. The next person I would want to introduce is my colleague in terms of focal leader. She works with Britam Insurance Company. Her name is Mary Wanjiku. Mary, I can give you 30 seconds to introduce yourself.
Thank you, Bosco. Good evening, team, and our guests today. I am Mary Maina. I work with Britam Insurance, as Bosco has mentioned. I want to thank you, Bosco. You've really conveyed that information the way it's supposed to be. Please, anyone, feel free to reach out and we'll be able to assist. I'm able to sort you out in regard to retirement planning, education policies, and also investments, the unit trust, funds, and the kind bonds shares, we will engage further. Thank you.